This is a field that is typically would have a lot of population, but because of the drought, also you can see we don't have that much population on it. And then the length and the sharpness of the internodes is a physical indication of the drought effect on the sugarcane.
So you would still harvest this one, but you wouldn't get as much?
We wouldn't get as much as we would expect on a normal year with normal rainfall conditions. In a normal space, you would have around 10 to 11 millable stacks, but if you can count, there are a lot of dry ones. So these are the ones that have already been lost. So this one is lost already. This one is lost already. So from the 10 to 11 millable stacks that we will take to the factory, it's only one, maybe 2 or 3 of them that are good for harvest.
This field was planted in November of last year and should be harvested right about now. But these brown, dry, and stunted cane stalks didn't grow as expected, so they don't have any sugar content and will have to be left behind in these fields. It's worrying for the sugarcane industry. That's because these cane fields were ravaged by the drought in recent months. The extended dry period hit the north hardest, with sugar taking a beating in the agriculture sector. It's a record year for drought experience in the sugar industry, one that hasn't been seen for over 30 years. That drought has caused a delay to the start of the sugarcane crop this year, which will impact sugar production.
It was projected at around 1.3 million tons of cane for this crop season. However, due to the severe drought impacts, mainly in the Corozal area, the drop has been about 27 to 30% throughout the industry. That leaves us to around 1 million tons of cane. Looking at the effects of the drought on the fields, we decided as stakeholders that we were unable to start a crop in mid-December as we usually start. But also you will have already a drop in numbers for the cane price. The cane production amount is a factor within the cane price, and so is quality. So definitely it will have an impact on the cane price. Sincerely, this is the most affected time of the year, or the year when we have seen this kind of impact or drought impact. According to records, it has been over 35 years that we have had this type of weather condition.
The delayed start of the sugar crop is tentatively set for mid-January. That's a month late. This is bad news for the cane farmers, and Alfredo Ortega, chairman of the Orange Walk BSCFA, says that about 90% of the sugarcane farmers experienced losses as a result of the drought.
There are some farmers that really, depending on the land that they have their cane, there are some lowlands that have a lot of sun. Those canes were dry, and there are some highlands that also the cane was dry. And there are some farmers that have a partial loss of their cane. The situation is very hard at this point because we have canes that they should have had at least 7 feet in tall, and right now we only have some cane fields that are 2 feet, 3 feet in height. So it's a loss, a very huge loss for those farmers, for all of us, then for the industry. But most of all, I think the situation that this drought has caused us to be where we are is really hurting, it's really hurtful. In my experience being a cane farmer for the past 30 years, this is one of the worst here in regards to the drought that has put us into this situation. Last year we had some drought, but the damage was not as huge as this time.
Ortega says that they were depending on the rain because farmers don't have irrigation systems, so they just had to wait it out. Ortega is a sugarcane farmer himself. He has about 50 acres of land under sugarcane cultivation. He says that 15 acres of his sugarcane were directly impacted by the drought. These were cut down and never made it to the mill.
In regards to ton, it would be about 250 tons that I'll be losing because of the drought in that area. And if we speak at the price, the estimate that they have presented to us of $41.59 for the first estimate or this coming crop, we are talking a loss of about $10,000.
Because 15% of the population depend on the sugar industry, which also earns millions of dollars every year in export earnings for Belize, sugar officials are pushed to build the adaptive capacities of farmers. That is, that the sugar industry can adapt to climate change. For years now, they've been researching more climate resilient varieties of sugarcane. It is a necessary and timely step because 60% of Belize's sugar industry is reliant on just one variety called B79. It is risky for any commodity industry to rely on one commodity, as can be seen in this drought. They have some trial plots of 96 varieties in the fields. At least 25 of those new varieties seem to be performing well under the drought conditions.
There's some that have done extremely well under these conditions with little rainfall, and that means that they've had a normal growth pattern. They have given us some high productivity in comparison to the B79. The growth in the internodes is normal. The cane stock length is normal. These varieties probably have a very their root network is probably very deep. They have a wider root network, and so then these varieties they can take advantage of the deeper soil moisture.
But those varieties have several years to go before sugar researchers can find a suitable climate variety for Belize that will withstand dry and rainy weather as well as pests. So they've been testing out irrigation systems on different plots to see how watering these sugarcanes during the dry season can make a difference.
We have obtained very good results, and we're planning to do it for the next 2 more years to have 5 years of experience and look at what are the benefits of it. Just to share a little bit of what we have learned on the first sections of the trials. We have get good production. The quality is the same or similar to a drought or a rain-fed conditions. However, one of the barriers that we are seeing is the availability of water and the quality of water that we are looking. Unfortunately, on the north part of our country, the availability of water and the quality of water itself it's a challenge. So, and you can see on the two conditions of the stack or the sugarcane, you can see the difference in growth. The smaller internodes actually tells you that there was a stress on the sugarcane itself compared to a healthy one, which we had the water available during its growing period. So these are one of the techniques or the technologies that we're trying to include at our farm so that we can mitigate the effect of the drought.
Reporting for News 5, I'm Andrea Polanco.